Welcome to episode 33 of the Automation Podcast, brought to you by insightsinautomation.com. I'm your host, Shawn, and on this week's show, I'm going to share my experiences as a first-year LEGO League coach. But before we start that, I want to cover some things that have happened over the last few weeks since our last podcast. And the first one is that we do have a newsletter. So if you find it hard to get out to the websites every week, you can sign up for this free newsletter, and you'll get an email once a week on Sunday morning with excerpts of everything I've posted at the Automation blog, the Automation podcast, and the Automation Minute. It's totally free. You can unsubscribe at any time. It's really just a service to keep you up to date. And if you see something you like, you just click on it and you can read it. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to talk about is the automationschool.com. I've added more courses up there, my PLC courses, other people's courses, and my new PanelView Plus Basics course. Now, this course is about 4 hours. It took quite a while to record, and there's no Hollywood graphics or actors. It's just me and PanelView Pluses. But I'm running a special for the listeners or viewers of the Automation Podcast. If you use coupon code TAP, you can get my course for just $25. Now, you may not need it, but maybe you know somebody you work with who needs to get up to speed on the PanelView Plus, and I cover all the basics, the different hardware models, how to use the configuration menu, how to create a project, edit a project, create screens, edit screens, alarms, and even create runtimes and download them. So that's all up there. I'm actually planning on updating it next month as well. So if you use coupon code TAP, when you go to purchase it, you'll get it for just $25. And, it's nearly 4 hours in length. So that's, I think that's a very good value. But sorry, no famous actors. It's just me. In addition to that, I had some video that I was going to use in one of my courses about how to, set up the PanelView Plus using the serial Data Highway 485 driver. Unfortunately, the main mic with all the hardware I had on the table, my wireless mic had some interference. So I had to use the backup mic, which was more like phone quality than studio quality. So in the end, I decided to release that video free on the automationminute.com as a 3-part series. Now again, this is all about using the PanelView Plus's serial DH485 driver. So if you had a PanelView Plus 6 and you need to do DH485, let's say a PanelView Plus 6 400 or 600, then this can be very helpful to give you that data highway 485 out the serial port, because there's no add-on card for the PanelView Plus 6 400 and 600. And you can see it here. Again, the audio is more telephone quality than studio quality, but they're free. You can see them up here. You can actually buy all 3 episodes for $3 if you want to keep them, or you can buy the whole season for $15. So that's that. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is a new blog I've created. TheAutomationBlog.com is where I post about how to solve technical issues or problems, or talk about new products that have come out. But TheAutomationGuy.com is my new blog where I'm just really posting about what's going on here at Insights in Automation. What am I focusing on? What kind of challenges I'm running into? I think the last blog I had here was about, I keep getting requests for free consulting, and the bill collectors are knocking at the door. So how do I address that? What am I doing to address that? And because my family likes to eat too. So that's the automationguy.com. And again, it's not as regular as the automationblog.com, but you may find it interesting. So now let's get into the main topic that we're going to cover today, and really my experiences as a LEGO League coach. So maybe you're an experienced LEGO League coach and you want to give me some advice. I'd appreciate it. Or maybe you're thinking about becoming or have volunteered to become a coach for the 2016-2017 series. In which case, I hope some of this information is helpful. But if you had never heard of LEGO League, for those listening, just go to theautomationblog.com/FLL for First LEGO League, and that'll take you right to this site. It'll redirect right to their official website. And if you're watching on theautomationpodcast.com, if you're watching the video or watching on YouTube, this is what the website looks like for North America. And basically it is a competition for children, whether they be students or independent groups. Anybody can put a group together. You and your friends and your neighbors could put together a team for LEGO League. And they have several different leagues for different age groups. But basically, they're trying to encourage students or children to learn how to program and engineer solutions using the Mindstorm robot and Legos. And being a first year coach, I learned a whole lot that I wish I would have known before I started, right? And so what I'm going to do is cover the points I had in a blog post I put on last week at the automationblog.com, which you can see right here. And let's just go through it. So the first thing is I was asked to be a coach after the season had already started. So I was really 6 to 8 weeks behind everybody else. And not having ever done it before, and the school not having had a team the year prior, there was a huge learning curve. So my advice to everybody, first and foremost, start on time, if not earlier, because, just having just completed the competition, I know my students and my team could have placed if they just would have had an extra 6 or 8 weeks. They were so close. They were getting really good at it. And I know maybe they wouldn't have come in first, but they really, really could have placed pretty high up if they just had a little bit more time. So, that's my, it's kind of, it's kind of self-evident, but you can't, just a few extra weeks is so helpful. The second thing I learned was assembling the Playfield's mission kits. And I'll pull up a picture for those of you watching at theautomationpodcast.com or on YouTube. These kits take a long time to assemble. And, if you can have that done before the students show up for the first meeting, that would just save you so much time. I mean, we literally spent more than 3 weeks with having our 9 students assemble these kits. And it was just so time consuming. Time in our meetings, that precious time would have been better spent doing something else. So just want to throw that out there. In addition to that, once they're assembled, they have to work. And during assembly, you may have to backtrack. The kids may have to backtrack because they may have forgotten a step, right? We're all human. So even I, when I was putting together some of these, forgot steps and had to backtrack. So my advice is print the manuals out in color and bind them. So what do I mean? Well, we had printed everything in black and white because we wanted to be cost conscious. And it was hard. The Legos are all color-coded, and some of the students had difficulty with going from the color to the black and white instructions, and in fact, I actually did too. So, spend the extra pennies, print them in color, and then bind them. So we had multiple groups of students building different models, and sometimes the pages would get mixed up. And when you have 100 or more pages of instructions, like some of these kits did, it can be very, very time consuming to try to reconstruct them so you can go back to the right step and figure out where you went wrong. So I just throw it out there. I recommend you print the mission instructions in color and you bind them because it would have saved us a ton of time and frustration if we had done that. Plan exercises for the students prior to the first meeting. So, I'm self-employed. I'm working 6 days a week. I don't have a lot of extra time. However, if you're going to have any new students at all, there's some basics they should need. I mean, I'm the type of person who feels that every student who's part of the team should be able to do the basic construction and the basic programming. And, sometimes students need guidance. They need structure. So put together some basic lessons or basic exercises for them before you even get to the first meeting. For me, I'm thinking every student has to know how to do a one-way door, has to know how to do a pusher, and also has to know how to do a hook arm because a lot of the different challenges use those different pieces. I also want every student to be able to program the basic program to make the robot go forward, take a right-hand turn, and come back reliably the same distance every time. So that's kind of my own feelings, and eventually I did put some lessons together, but man, I wish before the first meeting I would have had that already done. Next, let's talk about getting the PCs ready, right? So Lego makes the Mindstorm software available free of charge. However, we had 4 different laptops we were using, and the software was large, and trying to download this large 2 gig software on 4 old laptops on the school's internet was painful. I eventually ended up just taking everything home and loading it all at home. So just a note, I mean, not every school has, super duper internet. So get the computers already installed prior to your first meeting. And that would be a huge help, time saver, and save some frustration as well. Um, the other thing that I found is that we were meeting after school once a week, and we had scheduled our meeting to be longer than an hour. And what I found over time is these students had been in class all day, and there was only so much time they could devote to the meeting before they just had to go play. They had to run around and stretch their legs. I mean, they had been in the classroom working all day. There's only so much time and attention they could give before they just had their bodies just said, all right, I got to do something different. So keep that in mind. If you're doing it in your meetings on the weekend, you'll probably have a different result. But myself, and my co-coach feel that next year we'll keep the meetings a little bit shorter to take advantage of that. To acknowledge that the students have been in class all day and they're not going to be able to pay attention for a couple hours. The next thing I want to talk about is if you have a larger team. So we had 9 students and we only had 2 robots. And it was very difficult to find something for all the students to do. Basically, as a coach, you're just guiding them. You're not supposed to be building anything for them. I mean, you can build samples and examples, and you're not supposed to program for them. I mean, you can show them, the steps of programming, but you're not supposed to be writing their programs and downloading it. They need to do that themselves. And in fact, before the competition, they'll be asked, without you there, how they constructed the robot, how they wrote the programs, just so the coaches know that you didn't do all the work, that they know how to do this. So with that in mind, if you only have a couple robots and 9 kids, it's tough. It's very tough to keep everybody busy. And with the Berkshire Robotic League, the kids did not have to do the optional project. So that some of the kids may have gravitated towards making a backboard and doing a research project, but we didn't do that because it was optional. And I think 90% of the teams did not do that. So you may want to have enough robots to at least have one per every 2 students. I also found that when I had 3 students working together, it always seemed like somebody didn't have something to do. One guy was programming, one girl was constructing the hardware onto the Mindstorm brick. But then what was the other person doing? And it seemed like the best solution was to have 2 people per team or per group to work together with a robot and programming and assembling it. So just my personal experience. You may not be able to do that. You may not be able to get additional robots, but I would definitely say that. One other thing I didn't put in the article I'm just thinking about now is you can only get one robot, at least where we are. We could only get one robot approved for the competition. Okay, they said, only one brain, only one robot. You can bring as many attachments as you can hold, but that's it. So you may also want to mandate that each of the robots, if you have multiple robots, that each of them have the same wheels, because wheel diameter plays in a big portion of how many rotations you're going to do to get so many inches. So that's important, and we ran into that. We had a secondary team that had some great programs, actually 2 sub-teams that had some great programs. We wanted to let them contribute, but because our main team, our seniors, had used a different size wheel, the programs they had to be all rewritten, and we just didn't have time to do that. So make sure that the robot that's going to be used in the competition will accept all the programs from all the students, and will accept all the plug-in attachments from all the students. And I also found that in the same vein that you need to give your students guidance on what to attempt to do first, right? So we had some groups of students who wanted to go after the hardest mission first, and personally, I didn't think there was any way even I could get that mission to work. I don't even think our model was built correctly to be able to do that mission. And so what we ended up doing, my co-coach and I, we ended up making an Excel spreadsheet and printing it out with a grid saying, okay, these are the missions as we see them from easiest to hardest. And we really want you to focus on the easy wins, pushing these little characters, halfway across the board and leaving them in a certain area. And most of the students, they all didn't follow our recommendations to the T, but most of the students did. That helped them focus on, hey, what's important? What can I get a quick score on? And we thought that really helped move things along once we handed that out to them. Number 9, I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but you got to understand that, well, at least in our competition, I think this is the way for all the competitions, but there are only 3 rounds, and each round only can have 2 students in it. So, if you have a team of 9 people like we did, 9 students like we did, not all the students are going to be able to get in the pit and compete during the half day competition where all the schools come together to compete. So it's important to know that up front, and it's important parents know that up front because you're thinking you're taking your child, letting your child go to an after school program for 6 months or more, and then you're going to spend half a day on a Saturday down at a competition where your child may not even do anything except root the rest of the team on. So that's very important to know up front. If I had my way, I would have every student actually have a chance in one of the 3 rounds, but with 9 students, that was just not possible. Well, 9 students on one team, that wasn't possible. So it's something to consider, something to know up front. And there's different ways to address that. Maybe you have more than one team, or maybe you hold your team to 6 students. But however you address it, I know some teams do it like a varsity and a junior varsity where everybody helps create the programs and robots, but only the students that are graduating and going on, the oldest students who won't be able to come back the next year, get to go into the pit and actually take part in the competition. So, that's something that you definitely want to consider. And the final thing, number 10, is to remember to have fun and encourage the kids to have fun. I think we all know a cranky engineer who we dread to get a phone call from because they're always just cranky. They're complaining about everything. Everything's a problem. It's cloudy out. Life sucks. The whole 9 yards. So we can do some good in the world by helping these students not adopt that personality, which seems to be a fairly easy personality to devolve into. So we can help the students see the challenges not as problems that should give us a headache, but as opportunities to learn something new and to grow and get them on the right track and off of the wrong track. So in their future, people don't dread when they call them because they're always whining and complaining and whatnot. So and have your kids, help the kids have fun, help them see it as a challenge. And I used to always tell the students, remember, it's the journey, not the destination, right? We can't control the end of the road. We can't control the other teams and how good they're going to be. All we can do is enjoy the journey, do our best, and really be present at during the moment in the creation of robots and the programs, and just enjoy it. So that's my final tip. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've coached before and you could give me insight for next year, I would love that. Or if you're a new coach and you have questions, please feel free to comment over here at theautomationpodcast.com on this video, or over at theautomationblog.com on the written article, and let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Also, keep in mind that if you know anybody who needs PanelView Plus training, that you go to automationschool.com and you'll see my PVP basics. If you use the coupon code TAP, that's the acronym for the Automation Podcast, you can get it for $25. And that's a roughly 4-hour course. Again, no Hollywood actors, no Hollywood graphics, just me and the workbench and PanelView Pluses. But I do take students through, really all of the hardware, where the ports are located. I even take a part of PanelView Plus to show you where the internal memory is. I cover like what runtimes, what versions run on what hardware. I go through the entire configuration menu, pointing out the important places where I've visited since the product came out in like 2003. I've visited hundreds of sites to show them these things, and so it's great. I mean, and once you buy it, you have it for life. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on your tablet. You can watch it on your computer, and it never expires. So I think it's a great deal. If you enjoy the podcast and you enjoy my other videos, you should enjoy it. And again, it's just $25, and I'm actually going to be updating it in a month or two because I get some new equipment. I just want to do it again and just add some stuff into it. So check it out, theautomationschool.com, and there's a bunch of other courses over there as well. And I guess that's it for this podcast. Appreciate you watching or listening if you're on iTunes or Android. And until the next podcast and the next time we talk, peace.